Hello everyone and welcome to WGBS TV Live, brought to you by SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. In this, our October 23rd, 2018 show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, including the Reign of the Superman trailer. We're going to be talking about heaps of Supergirl and TV stuff, and we're going to be talking about comic books as well. We're also going to turn to you to take your questions and comments on any particular Superman topic you would like to discuss. And to let you know how all that works, let me introduce you to my co-host, the man of the moment, Michael Bailey. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Steve. Now, WGBS Live is all about Superman. I mean, it's on the Superman homepage. This should be kind of obvious. But because of that, we want to hear from the Superman fans that are watching us live on Facebook. So around the halfway mark of the show, and if we don't have too much on the docket, we're going to start taking your calls. To do this, you'll need Skype. Get on Skype, find Superman homepage, and message us that you'd like to be part of the show. Please wait for us to respond. Do not call in before we tell you to. And when we do get in touch with you, please turn down your speakers, because we are on a bit of delay. But other than that, we'd love to hear from you.
Yes, and for those of you tuning in live via Facebook to watch tonight's show, next to that video, below that video, we invite you to post your comments and ask questions. We also ask you to leave a thumbs up, share this video, this thing with all your Facebook friends, so that we can get as many people listening and watching live. And Michael and I will keep an eye on the comments as the show goes on to react to them as necessary. And a huge thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham and Henry Bernstein. Appreciate your support. Well, Mike, how's your week been?
It's actually starting to get cool again, which is kind of nice because it's been an oppressively hot summer. But you're starting to probably turn around to the other side of it, where it's getting a little warmer where you are, I'm assuming.
That's right. Well, as you can see, I'm wearing t-shirts again, so going to the jackets and the hoodies. It's starting to heat up here, and I love it because I've got all the t-shirts in the world, and be able to wear them is fantastic. So yeah, it's starting to warm up here. We've had a fair share of rain in the last couple of weeks, which is good for the weather, especially for the farmers here. We've had a pretty dry season, but we're back into getting some dry weather once again. But we're not here to talk about the weather. We're here to talk about Superman and Supergirl and Reign of the Superman, the upcoming animated movie. IGN.com posted the official trailer for the Reign of the Superman animated movie, which we still don't have a release date for yet. All we know is it's early 2019. I imagine that release date will probably be announced within the next week or so, when Warner Brothers releases the trailer to everyone. But IGN had the exclusive first look, and we can play some of that for you here and now, so that we can start talking about it right here on WGBS TV Live. Let's have a look.
Who are these new guys? Why are they here? What is their place? In a world without a Superman.
The Man of Steel is dead. We saw the body. It's time for human beings to stop relying on leagues and titans and start saving ourselves.
I can give each of you the power to be your own hero.
Clark's body disappears, and suddenly these new Supermen show up out of the blue.
Who the hell are you?
I'm Superman.
There is only one Superman.
You look like Superman, but Superman died in my arms.
For my people, death doesn't have to be the end. Terrible things are coming, Lois. I can feel it.
We gotta be our own heroes. We sure as hell could make some noise.
When the Daily Planet said Superman is dead, it painted a target on the Earth.
How do we even begin to fight that?
So there you have it, the trailer for Reign of the Superman. I'll probably put some images up. I'll get your opinion on that and just your feelings on what you saw, Michael. But we'll probably go through some key images as well as we kind of forward through it a little bit again. But what was your first impression?
Looks good. I was a fan of the first movie. It really looks like they've done a good job with Steel, and Superboy looks interesting. I'm still not entirely sold on the Cyborg's design, but since it's not that constant shot of him bathed in red, it doesn't look as bad. It seems like the differences that the different direction they're going in and involving the Justice League a little more into this end of the story is very different from the comics, but it looks like they're also going to take out the Justice League pretty much early on in the fight. So, because there's that final shot of them getting blasted. What I like more than anything is it does seem to want to explore not only what the world is like without Superman, but also, how could these people try to take his place, which was kind of the heart of the Reign of the Superman story. So it looks fantastic. I do like, though, that look for it soon, with them not giving us a release date.
Yeah, exactly. So as I said, having a look through some of the images of that movie, we'll just of that trailer, we'll just have a quick look right here. So let's have a look. Just quickly scan through some of the images here. So there's there's Steel, and not as identical or not as close to what we saw in the comic books as perhaps we would like, but it definitely looks like Steel. He's got a hammer and he's got the red cape and he's covered in steel.
Yeah, and he's got the so I think of all of them, this is the closest to the comic book version of the character, and it looks really solid.
We also have the Eradicator, or Man of Tomorrow, who, other than this really giant S on his chest that goes from pretty much shoulder to shoulder, and the cape coming out of the S shield, the yellow visor is pretty much, his real kind of calling card, if you like, the thing that really makes him stand out as being the Eradicator.
Yeah, this is actually, it doesn't look bad from what I've seen in the trailer, but this is actually the easiest one, I think, to adapt, because it was such a simple design that translating it to animation would not have been hard. Now, having said that, this looks like what I would think a new 52 Superman costume version of the Eradicator's outfit would look like. Yeah.
Okay, then we move forward. There's Superboy. It's the leather jacket. It's the round spectacle, the round sunglasses, the John Lennon sunglasses, if you like. And again, a new 52 version because of that little high collar there underneath. That we can see. I think there might be another image, kind of just a little bit earlier. There we go.
Is that an L on his jacket?
On the left, yeah, it looks like the L Corp, the Lex Luthor.
Huh. I wonder if they're gonna have the whole Rex Leach thing happen with Lex Luthor instead of that's interesting. That would be an interesting development. But yeah, this is a great modernization of that outfit. The new Young Justice title that's premiering next year, notwithstanding, that is not an outfit that I think would do well now, but I loved it, so seeing an update of it is fantastic.
And then, if we can forward on, we have the Cyborg Superman. I'll just try to get a clearer picture of him. Or probably further on in it will get that a little bit better. There was Steel just suiting up, John Henry Irons. And then there's the Cyborg Superman. Now, if I'm not mistaken, in the comic books, wasn't it more of his face was shown, and it was like what we see here from the human part of his head is pretty much the amount of robotic cyborg part of his head that was in the original design?
I think there was more in the comics, but not by much.
Let's try to grab an image, see if we can put it on side by side.
I believe more of his nose and the cheek on that side were covered in skin, whereas this is definitely more robotic in terms of the design. I mean, even the symbol is different. He's got the black instead of the yellow on the S shield.
Yeah, I'm just going to throw in a little bit of an image here on the side. It's pretty much got the same amount of robotic face as the original Dan Jurgens design there. But yeah, more of his body. It was like more of the costume seemed to be. His body is definitely robotic, where in the comic books he seemed to be more human, part cyborg than all robotic body.
Yeah, it was definitely more of an even split, whereas this seems like it's just
his part of his face.
Yeah, I mean, did they just put his brain in there? I mean, technically that's a cyborg, but that's more robot man cyborg than cyborg. Yeah,
there's definitely only a little bit of human skin there, and that's only on the face and the head, the quarter of the head. His arms appear to be all robotic. And so does all of his body, where in the original design it seemed to be, as you say, more of a 50-50 kind of thing, if anything more human. The majority of his body and his torso seem to be more human, but look, that's what they've gone with for this particular iteration of the animated movie. So, the cape doesn't show there in this image, but that's what it is.
Yeah, the cape is really billowy too. I'm kind of curious if they're going to stick with the storyline where the cyborg is part of the invasion force. It'd be interesting if they went into another direction, but I'm kind of hoping that the cyborg ends up being the bad guy. But that would be an interesting twist on the idea to have something else be part of it, or that he's not the ultimate villain like he was in the original story.
So who are these guys?
That's a good question. They actually look like they're wearing the Superboy outfit from the New 52 in a weird clones? Way. They look kind of like clones, but I guess they're somewhat humanoid, because towards the end of the trailer we see Bibbo and his people like running towards them to fight. So
is that Star Labs they're coming out of?
Yeah, they're. Wow, that looks like the Justice League watchtower in the background. It's going to be interesting. Again, we haven't seen any hint of Mongol, and just curious as to who just thinking based on the I don't mean to stumble here. Just thinking based on the bits of the trailer that we saw, where somebody's just like, we have to, we can't rely on Titans or Leagues or anything like that. I'm wondering if that is something from Star Labs, that they're kind of a force that they come up with that goes wrong, basically. We're looking at the image right here with Bibbo that's like wrong and no. I'm wondering if those are clones of some sort. And thank you, Daniel, for the FCTC Bibbo call out in the chat. I appreciate that. I'm wondering if this part of it with the fight is kind of a red herring to who the ultimate villain is. which would be a good thing to do in the trailer, because then the ultimate villain is a complete surprise.
And it's interesting to see that Lex Luthor, Kevin Spacey, is writing some of the slogans in the background.
Yeah, that's funny.
So look, pushing on. We have that. The people can't versus these cloned things. Superboy. There's a lot of fighting going on there. More of the Justice League involved, and that it looks like the DVD packaging that we will see for Reign of the Superman on Blu-ray and digital. We don't know a release date, as I said, yet, and whether or not that's Superman coming back to life at the very end there with the heat vision, not sure, but we don't have a release date yet, as I said, but we are looking forward to this animated movie coming out in early 2019.
Now that I think about it, it would be really interesting if one of the story beats is not only can these people be Superman, but how does humanity deal with it, and what do they come up on their own to replace Superman? So that, now I'm a little more interested in this movie than I was. I mean, I was always, super interested in it. But now it seems to have a lot more meat on the bone.
Yeah, so looking forward to it. It's a kind of a good sneak peek in there. And answers a few questions, but asks a lot more. And we'll look forward to seeing the movie early next year. And if you haven't watched the trailer, you can watch it again in full on our website at supermanhomepage.com. Alright, that's all we have for movie news. We're going to go straight into TV side of things now, where Supergirl episode 2 of season 4 aired on Sunday night there in the US and last night here in Australia, and or Monday night I should say here in Australia. It was titled Fallout, and our reviewer Mark Lax, who's a regular on this program, gave it a 4 out of 5, saying that what does he say here? Really enjoyed this episode, he says. All around, it was an enjoyable episode. It was fun, but it also showed the darkness of the anti-alien movement, and that really did start to pick up in this episode.
Yeah, it's funny. I thought it was a good continuation of the stories that they developed. I enjoyed this episode more than the premiere. It seemed like they kind of worked out a couple of maybe the kinks of what they were going for by the time they got to this episode. My first big reaction was the president steps down at the beginning of the episode, and born in the United States, we have it in our Constitution that only people born in the United States can be president. So, if she was in fact an alien and was never supposed to be president, then she absolutely should step down. And Kara was talking about all the good she did, and that's unfortunate. But if we're going to have a constitution in this country, we have to stick with it. Other than that, I had no really controversial opinions. I thought the best part of the episode was, even though it was a little heavy-handed, was Brainy's image inducer going out, and the people at the pizza shop, wanting to attack him, and Nia kind of stepping up to him, and a little hint of maybe a hint of a romance, which would be really interesting. I'd actually be really kind of cool with it if they went that direction. But I think him recognizing her and then hearing that name, I think he knows that this is a descendant of one of his teammates in the Legion. But just him processing the fact that this guy that he dealt with, that he bought coffee and pizza from, and my wife's like, who gets espresso where they get their pizza? I go, when you have to have two characters meet up, you really need the coffee and the pizza to go together. But, just seeing his kind of depression that, he knows me, he knows who I am, and suddenly he finds out I'm an alien, and now he's all up in my business. So that was good. The escape of Mercy and Otis was really good. And I really like that they're showing how dangerous Agent Liberty's rhetoric is. That you have, and it was just like a kind of a gymnasium or a little small auditorium, but these people were totally buying into it, and you had a great cliffhanger. So this was a really solid episode.
And you know it's my job to sit here and nitpick a little bit and kind of point out some of the things that took me out of the episode, so I'm going to do that right now.
Okay.
There are a few things, some of the people in the comments listening on or watching on Facebook bring them up as well. Agent Liberty's mask, I would be, as Helmuth says in the thing, a little bit dubious about listening to a guy who couldn't show his face. Like, what's he trying to hide? Why am I believing this dude who's just covered in a gold mask? What trust does he bring to the table?
It's not what he looks like; it's what he says.
Yeah, but I'd be saying, "Hey, dude, take your helmet off. Let's see who you are."
No, I honestly believe. And maybe this is just because I'm in a very pessimistic, dark mood towards my country right now. But I would absolutely buy into if somebody showed up in an outfit like that, as long as he was saying the right things, people would not care what he looks like. I'm not disagreeing with you, to say like you're wrong, but I could kind of almost see it. Maybe. Again, maybe I'm just in a dark little cloud right now, and that's not a good thing.
Now, Tina in the comments is saying, like, the whole part of... I enjoyed this part, mind you, of Kara being stuck with Lena and Miss Tessmacher and not being able to get away to become Supergirl and having to be a little bit ingenious in using her powers or getting in a position where she could use them without giving away her identity. And the sneeze part happened while they had their backs turned and were walking away around a corner, and she still faced the other way around that corner and sneezed those people into, to blow them back. But so Lena and that wouldn't have seen. Now, I don't think there were any cameras in those hallways. I don't think, this is kind of like a secret pathway that Lena's kind of, getting to from one area to another. So I don't think she necessarily needs security in that area with cameras, so I think Kara's identity is pretty much still secure in that part. But nevertheless, I thought it was a nice little sequence that kind of posed a little bit of a comedic problem for Kara to be able to use her powers in secret.
Yeah, Kara doesn't have to deal with this sort of thing. We really don't have a whole lot of secret identity drama on this show. We never really have, because most of the cast knows who she is. So when she has to run off, she can just run off, or she can just open up her shirt in front of God and everybody. I mean, theoretically, everybody at the DEO knows that Kara Danvers is Supergirl, which is kind of dangerous for that guy that defected, now that I think about it.
And also those guys who were storming the hallway anyway, they didn't die, they just got blown back. So they'd be going, wow, that girl really needs to take some allergy pills or whatever it was that she said, because I mean,
completely relate to her right now.
So there are, you kind of, as you say, have to kind of suspend your disbelief a little bit that there aren't people out there giving away her identity left, right and centre, considering how many people do know, especially in the DEO. And that guy got turned pretty quickly. And how stupid is it of the DEO, of Alex and that, to put the brother and sister right within earshot of each other?
There's a couple, this had to happen because the episode couldn't have happened if it didn't, in that putting them together, that guy being, okay, so to be fair, at the beginning of the episode, they show that he's...
got those tendencies.
He thinks the president is a traitor. That's not the guy I put in charge of guarding the two people that are on that side. But she's new to her position, and maybe she just assumed, hey, he's still part of this organization. He took an oath, so, obviously he's not going to turn against me, and it came to bite him in the butt.
Yeah. And the other part of the episode, that was enjoyable. Oh, actually, as you said, the whole Nia and Brainy part, and I thought Brian was going to be a good name for him, but Barney is just as good of a secret name for his pizza and his coffee name.
Yeah. I like Barney. I'll be with Barney.
Reminds me of Purple Giant Dinosaur.
I love you. You love me. Now when I'm all congested, I can actually do that.
So there we go. That was Supergirl Fallout, Season 4, Episode 2. And we do have the trailer for Episode 3, which is confusingly called Man of Steel. So let's play that for you right now, and I'll just make sure that the volume is up on that.
She's in bad shape.
Supergirl, stay with me. I am not losing my sister. What kind of person is capable of doing this?
Nowhere is safe.
We could make this country a better place.
Soon there won't be anything we can do for her.
Supergirl, all new this Sunday at 8/7 Central on the CW.
So there you have it. That was the trailer for Man of Steel, and I'm just going to go through it again with... for everyone. Sorry about that. That's the trailer for the Man of Steel episode, and as we saw at the end of the episode, Kara is out for the count, having been infected with kryptonite that the Mercy and her brother Otis used that machine that the DEO used to put lead into the atmosphere to, as in last season we saw, they used that machine to stop the invasion of the Daxamites, and here they've used kryptonite in that same machine to take down Supergirl, and she fell to Earth having been infected with kryptonite and is now in what appears to be a coma at the DEO.
What happened to not using the kryptonite and not making her a martyr? That was the point. I mean, it was a good cliffhanger, but that kind of confused me a little bit. But I'm assuming, given that we saw that armor, that maybe she's going to lose her powers for a few episodes, or it's a lead suit that she can wear to kind of protect her from the kryptonite until they get that all sorted out.
And in this episode, we know that we see more of Sam Witwer, or we actually see Sam Witwer in the role of Ben Lockwood, who is Agent Liberty. And there are some photos online on our website of Sam Witwer in that role, interacting with both Kara and with other people in this episode. So looking forward to seeing Sam Witwer, who, as you know, played a role in Smallville towards the end of the series.
Yes, he was the man that would be Doomsday.
Yes, the man that would be Doomsday. So we look forward to that, and might give us. It's obviously going to give us a bit more background on Ben Lockwood, his dad, who is played by Xander Berkeley, and just the whole family dynamic there around why this family is so anti-alien, and what's put them in that position.
Yeah, I'm a little squeamish because my dad was mean, so that's why I'm mean. And my mom was a good person, but something happened to her, so I'm going to be mean. I'm kind of worried that that's what they're going to go to. But I like Sam Witwer as an actor. He's very charismatic. And he, like I said, the scene where Agent Liberty was giving his speech, I didn't agree with anything, but I could see where people who are disenfranchised and want someone to blame would listen to those words and that rhetoric and kind of buy into it. So on that level, even though they should have named this character something else, like Earthman or something like that, I'm still looking forward to the next episode.
So that's Man of Steel Season 4, Episode 3. I'm guessing the steel is a reference to the steel mask that he wears rather than anything else, and Probably was a ploy to get people to watch the show because they saw the title Man of Steel. But nevertheless, we push on, and we have a description for episode 4 of season 4, and it's titled Ahimsa. Now, I'm not familiar with that word. Is that Ahimsa? Is it something that I should know about, or?
I am not familiar with it either, but
just a quick word. It's a Hindu, Buddhist, and Jainist tradition, respect for all living things and avoidance of violence towards others. There you go.
Huh.
Thank you, Google.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
The description.
Not familiar with that at all.
No, neither was I. Yeah. When Supergirl needs help, Alex asks Lena and Brainiac to team up. Meanwhile, Jean questions his decision to quit the DEO. However, after running into Manchester Black, he realizes there are a lot of ways to help his fellow aliens during this tumultuous time. Interesting. Manchester Black. not a fan?
I thought he served Action 775 well.
Mm-hmm.
I thought him coming back and being part of that whole ending battle storyline was just kind of unnecessary, and then they just kept dragging on after he died too. So it's just I guess that was a long way to say no, I'm not really a fan of Manchester Black.
Fair enough. So that's the description for season 4, episode 4, Ahimsa. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk about more Supergirl casting news and character news, and also some behind-the-scenes photos that have been out this week. So we'll be back shortly, right after these messages.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer, the voice of Superman and Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
Just try one. If you don't like it, it's easy to give up.
Uh-oh, nicotine. I'd better move fast. Up and away!
Go on, kid, go on.
Superman, is it hard to give up smoking, or is it easy like nicotine says?
You no-good windbag, nicotine.
No, Superman. Leave me one. Please, I need one.
That's how hard it is. And that's why I never say yes to a cigarette.
Now we're back on WGBS TV Live. Never say yes to a cigarette.
Every time I hear that little girl say Superman, I think of Sarah Douglas in Superman 2.
Very good. Yeah, it's a pretty thick British accent that she's got there, that little girl. Alright, so moving on to other Supergirl news. The CW announced this past week that Lex Luthor will make an appearance on Supergirl. We don't know any casting news as yet, but executive producers Robert Rovner and Jessica Queller said, "We're beyond excited to introduce iconic villain Lex Luthor to Supergirl and to weave him into our story this season. We've talked about having Lex on the show since its inception, and we're excited to have him finally arrive. We can't wait for him to shake things up in National City and watch him go toe-to-toe not only with Supergirl, but with his sister Lena Luthor."
Yeah, that's really going to complicate things in the best way possible. Because Lena's writing that Smallville Lex line right now, where she's on the side of the Angels, but she's doing things that are really kind of like that are skirting the edges. So it'll be interesting to see how she reacts when the villain shows up. And to be fair, they have really laid some groundwork here that Lex wasn't a bad person until Superman showed up. At least that's how they, but of course that's his sister saying it, and that's Mercy, kind of having her reaction to it.
Yeah, from their opinion.
So I'm kind of going to be interested if they try to go down that road, but then at the end everyone realizes, no, he was just a terrible human being to begin with, because of what happened with his, with the way he was raised and all that stuff. But I'm interested to see who would play him. That's kind of the more interesting question. Are they going to pull somebody from the past? There was that convention recently where Tom Welling mentioned a desire, like, hey, I'd play that, but that just seemed more like, two people at a convention going, hey, that sounds cool. Should they ask Michael Rosenbaum? I think they should. I'm curious if he'd be willing to shave his head and go back up to Vancouver again. But I guess a job is a job at this point. But no, really exciting news and I'm glad that they didn't do it earlier than this. They talked about we've wanted to do it from the beginning, but no, let's not bring in too many of the Superman villains at this point and have him come in at a time that's better for the show that he comes in at.
Like, while I like Michael Rosenbaum, and I think he was probably the best live-action Lex Luthor that we've seen to date, I don't think that it would necessarily be a good idea to bring him on as Lex Luthor in this show. I mean, let's face it. Erica Durance was the Lois Lane in Smallville. Now she's playing Allura on Supergirl. And while there's people who can understand that they're different shows, they're not the same continuity, I just think for the sake of less confusion that you bring in somebody new, and whether it's somebody else from the past of Superman lore, I don't know, but I would be going for a different actor rather than someone who's already played Lex in a different version of the show.
Now, having said that, I totally think that they should bring in the Smallville Lionel Luthor, played by John Glover from Another World. I think that would be fantastic, but I'll move on from that.
So I'm sure casting news for the role of Lex Luthor will probably happen soon. It's usually you get the announcement that Lex is coming or a character is coming, and then within a week or two you get the announcement of who's been cast in that role. So we'll wait and see how soon we hear from the CW as to who will be playing Lex Luthor in the upcoming episodes of this season of Supergirl. But at the moment, Lex has been in prison, and I imagine he'll escape at some point and therefore start interacting with Kara, Lena, and the rest.
I bet you anything that he's let out. I think it would be a much better idea on a dramatic level that he's released from prison, because then he's not an escaped felon.
Yes.
But he's out, and, what is he going to do? He comes to National City for a new start. I'm kind of hoping they go in that direction. And
it could be something along the lines of like Superman Returns, where because Superman is off in space visiting, where was he? Argo City. That Lex, he's not there to at the hearing in court to turn up and testify against him, and therefore Lex gets out on a technicality.
And hooks up with oh wow, it'd have to be like Dana Delaney, because sadly we've kind of lost all the other Loises.
Yeah, at this point,
except for Terry Hatcher, and she's already been on the show.
Yeah, so, that's right. And Erica Durance as well as So we're down to Dana Delaney at the moment, who would be a great introduction to the show. I'd love to see her on Supergirl.
Yeah, I I would just love it. I love her as a performer, so and I've liked her in everything I've ever seen her in, including Superman the Animated Series. So
yeah.
But yeah, that would be an interesting idea.
And well, she's got the connection with Terry Hatcher, having both been on Desperate Housewives together, so there's no reason that she couldn't bring her on. But the other casting news, which is an interesting one and caused a little bit of debate, especially on Facebook, I saw, and I got involved in a little bit of a little bit of a discussion over it, was Aziz Tesfaye, I think that's how you pronounce the name, or Ozzy Tesfaye, has been cast in the recurring role of Kelly Olsen, who is the sister of James Olsen. Now, I've got an image here of Aziz, or Ozzy, and Kelly Olsen is not a character that has been in the comic books. Jimmy Olsen has never really had any siblings that we know of. He's always been an only child that I've heard of, but so what? Let's bring in new characters.
The only thing the only thought I had when they announced this is like, wow, they are packing this season with new characters. And is there a saturation point for that? But, again, maybe it's because, I'm a much different person than I was like 10, 15 years ago, and I'm less dogmatic, and I don't get as bound up over changes in the adaptations. I mean, this is let's face it, with Superman, between animated films, live action movies, TV shows, this last decade has been full of different takes on Superman and the legend. So to really get upset, it's like, well, he never had a sister in the comic? Yeah, guys, newsflash, he wasn't black in the comics either. And they managed to make that work. So, wow. And
you know what? And Jimmy Olsen wasn't even a comic book character. He was created for the radio series first.
But here's the thing. I am almost positive that if we combed the depths of Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen through its comic book run, that there'd be a sister in there somewhere. I don't want to put money on it,
no,
but it wouldn't surprise me. So this is an interesting development, and more importantly, they've really given Jimmy something to do this season.
Mm-hmm.
I've been really impressed in the 2 episodes that he has been a presence on the show as an elder statesman, which at this point in the way the Superman thing is rolled out, that's even better. He doesn't have the double act with Wynn anymore. He's not going to be Guardian, because if he's Guardian, they're going to lock him up. So we've kind of moved away from that, and especially in this last episode, he really stepped up as editor of the paper. So now introducing a sister and having her be a lawyer, I think that's just more for him to do, and more to have him be part of the show.
Yeah, exactly. And in the radio series, it was just him and his mother to answer some of the questions in the comments. He seemed to be an only child with just his mum. There was nobody else around in the radio series. Other characters that were introduced outside of the comic books include Perry White. Chloe Sullivan on Smallville was created for that TV series and then made it into the comic books. So there have been many times when there have been characters that have been created for TV shows or mediums other than the comic books. You don't have to just go to what the comic books did and go, oh, that's the source material, stick with what that's been done in the source material, because there is no source material as such. Every medium has its merits.
Yeah, once you've gotten to 80 years and been adapted into, I think, literally every entertainment form that you can, from musical to movie serial to animation to live action to, on and on and on, that at some point you have to say, we're just going to go in our own direction, and Supergirl has done that. And aside from Agent Liberty and Red Tornado, I don't think they've put a wrong foot forward. They haven't had... Some storylines have been better than others. but you're going to have that on television.
Oh, for
so
sure.
I can't believe that I take that back. I could totally believe that people were upset at the idea of Jimmy Olsen having a sister.
All right, and it's just Kelly Olsen, as is her name, is described as you said, an intelligent and insightful woman who spent time in the military in order to pay for medical school. She's recently discharged from the military and is currently finishing her training as a psychiatrist, not a lawyer. She's got a large...
I don't know why I screwed that up.
She's got a large heart and cares deeply about others, so not too far from her brother as far as those, personality traits are concerned.
Now I feel silly that I said lawyer. I don't know why I thought she was a lawyer.
Psychiatrist, lawyer.
They both require schooling.
That's right. So there you have it. Now, in other news for Supergirl, and talking about other characters, Melissa Benoist shared a photo on her Instagram account of herself, Tyler Hoechlin, and Elizabeth Tulloch together on what appears to be the Smallville farm, and whether or not that's the same location as the Smallville farm for the TV show Smallville, I'm not sure. But there you have it, the three of them posing together in a nice photo there. Two Kryptonians and a journalist walk into a crossover. Melissa captioned the photo.
Oh, man. This is one of the... So, I have been losing my mind over the past week because of this crossover with everything, every picture that comes out. This was just the beginning. And I was just like, oh, wow, that's cool. They're going to be on the Kent farm. And then, the picture of Grant and them standing in front of the actual Kent farm from Smallville, which was really funny to me because some of the commentary I saw on that, it's just like standing in front of the real Kent farm. It's just like, wow. Fandom is fandom does.
Jonathan and Martha actually lived there.
It's more of I like that if they are going to have the Kent farm in the show, in the crossover, be the Kent farm from Smallville, or the exteriors, because it was the inside was a set because they kept trashing that house. That's great. I like it. It's really easy too because they were both filmed in Vancouver. But what it's done is remind me how rabid Smallville fans were. And how so possessive they were that that's the only version of Superman that should ever be. So I'm kind of interested to see if they're going to come out of the woodwork and we're going to have like another kind of dust up and another civil war like we did after Man of Steel.
And talking about other photos that have been posted, Stephen Amell posted this photo from behind the scenes, behind the camera, if you like, of Superman and Supergirl standing side by side during filming for the upcoming crossover event. There was some concerns, having seen that Tyler Hoechlin was wearing just an all-black version of the Superman suit, that perhaps we wouldn't see the classic Superman costume in this crossover, but here is proof positive that we will. And then we also saw some additional photos from YVR Shoots Twitter account showing more of Tyler Hoechlin in both the black costume and then in the traditional Superman costume. Looks like he's hailing a taxi there.
Yeah. Okay, so super excited. No pun, actually pun fully intended. That we're going to see at least two different versions of Superman played by Hoechlin. I think Hoechlin, of all of the Superman that we have gotten in live action in the past 2 decades, has been the best. That's nothing against Henry Cavill, who I liked quite a bit, and you can go back to the audio on that. I thought Brandon Routh was cheated, but just in terms of making it making me happy as a Superman fan and seeing the Superman that I've always kind of had in my head on screen, Hoechlin's been that one for me. So seeing him in the costume, seeing him with Lois, seeing him on the Kent farm, and in that black outfit, and holding a book, which I am assuming is going to have something to do with the Monitor that we saw pictures of. It's just like everything that I see about this crossover just gets me more and more excited, and I'm calling it now without seeing a frame of the episodes. They have outdone last year's episode, like, severely. I mean, let's not even really get into John Wesley Shipp in the 90s Flash outfit, where I was freaking out last night because suddenly I'm 14 years old again. I honestly think that the rest of the season is going to have such a tough time with me, because I think after this I'm going to be like, I'm done. You guys can go do whatever you want. I'm happy right now.
Yeah, there's the photo that you're talking about. You've got Kara as Supergirl. You've got Oliver as the Flash in a suit that looks just too tight for him.
Yes.
And then, as you said, you got the classic Flash from the 90s TV series, and then you got Grant Gustin as Arrow.
Yeah,
what is going on?
They released that poster that showed them switching, so
Yes.
I'm assuming in the Elseworlds. But the great thing about this picture is that the first time I saw it was on Twitter last night. Stephen Amell shared it, and his comment was, and I thought this was hysterical, "First day working with John Wesley Shipp, it was nice of him to dress for the occasion." And I'm just like, and throughout the last 24 hours, they've shared a couple more photos of him in the costume. They've had a candid one with him and Amell, but they also showed the team that put it together, that put that outfit together, that basically reconstructed the costume from the 90s series, or the 1990-1991 season, that was designed by Dave Stevens. So it just makes me so happy to see it. It's just like, because that show was so important to me when I was in junior high school. So to see all these people together and knowing that we're getting this gigantic, weird crossover where, people are switching costumes, and we're getting two different Supermen, and Lois Lane's a part of it, and they showed the pictures of the Monitor today. I mean, it's just like, I can't even talk right now.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I don't know how it's going to play out, but the fact that they're going to be doing it over 3 episodes seems like they're all going to be jam-packed with so much content, because, as you said, there's so many characters, so many flips, so many turns, and the introduction of Lois, and we saw there that Superman seems to have caught Lois. Maybe we'll get that "I've got you, miss," and that kind of thing, but it just seems like they have some good chemistry. She was just leaning there against him, he was using his head as a pillow almost in one shot. Bring it up again just to show that she's resting on him in between takes.
And that actually makes me happy, because it seems like they're going to have good chemistry together, which is extremely important. So that's actually a very sweet photo. Now that I see it some more.
And there's the one of him supposedly catching her just in time. And there's been a lot of comments about the cape, other than the clasps, the seat belts, if you like, that people are calling them. I like the costume, but just the attachment of the shoulder padding from the cape and that. And there's been a lot of comments about no yellow S being on the cape, and people just can't seem to get past that either.
It'd be great. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't turn it away, but Superman the Animated Series didn't have a yellow S. Superman Returns, Man of Steel, which, people are religiously devoted to. This is, I think, was it Superman Unbound, which is the only adaptation that we've gotten recently that had the S on the back of the cape. So I don't know. I'm
it's
just
not a make or break.
Like I said before, Hecklin's coming back. I loved him as Superman. I continue to love him as Superman. And the fact that he's getting another chance, we're running out of time, so I don't think we really have time to get into the whole thing that happened last week where one site quoted a Facebook post and it turned into a thing with a supposed Superman series, but I don't think it's going to happen. I would not turn it down if it did.
Yeah. Yeah, there's been a lot of comments. It's just rumour. It's been debunked a couple of times. There is no spin-off TV series with Tyler Hoechlin in the production or in plans at the moment. Never say never, though. So, there's always possibilities, but there is nothing actually in the works that has been announced as yet, or is likely to in the foreseeable future, considering that the CW just has its schedule jam-packed with superhero shows already. But I wouldn't be opposed to it either, so we'll wait and see. You were going to add something?
Not at all. No, I was just agreeing with you.
Okay, very good. All right, well, that's the TV side of things, and in the final minutes of tonight's program, let's talk comic books. And really, there isn't a lot of comic book talk to go through this week, other than the fact that there's one Superman comic book out this week, and that is Action Comics 1004, which there is the foil cover that you will see at your local comic shop. So that's a great image of Superman flying above a flock of ducks, it looks like, or they're flying south for the winter, I guess, or they go north for winter. I can never tell. I can never remember.
They go south.
I thought
it's south.
And the alternate variant cover is that one there, showing the two, Lois and Clark, in an embrace with a kiss, which is nice to see, considering the fact that they really caused a bit of a stir this week with the announcement that in the initial couple of pages of the comic book, because Lois has come back without Superman or telling her husband Clark about the fact that she's back from the intergalactic travels that she was supposed to be having with her son Jonathan and Jor-El, she's secretly back, and she's secretly been meeting with Lex Luthor, as it looks like in this photo that the Daily Planet rumor columnist is running with, and says that they were canoodling.
But there's always talk of canoodling. This is a red herring. This is to get people talking.
Yes, exactly.
I doubt that's something Bendis would do. And to answer Patrick's question from the chat, no, we don't have time for Matt Damon tonight. Really sorry that he's been waiting in the wings this entire time, but we just don't have time to talk to him. So maybe he can go back to the Jimmy Kimmel show.
Yeah, we'll try getting back for a future episode. But look, that's pretty much it where we're at for this week's edition of WGBS TV Live. Before we do sign off, I'd like to thank everyone for watching tonight's episode, and thank you to all those in the Facebook comments for your participation in tonight's show, and a huge thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham and Henry Bernstein. And thank you to you, my co-host, Michael Bailey. Thanks, Mike.
You were afraid we wouldn't have enough to talk about tonight, and we managed to pack this. I mean, the great thing about it is that you can promote this as Mike and Steve break down, or Steve and Mike if you really want, break down the Reign of the Superman trailer, and that could be our log line,
our selling point.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thanks again, Mike. Appreciate your input and helping me to fill out the hour.
Pleasure as always, Steve.
And a huge thank you to everybody once again for watching the show, whether you're doing it live or after the fact. And as I said, thank you to our sponsors. Remember, you can sponsor the Superman homepage for as little as $3. All you have to do is head to patreon.com/Superman homepage. Now, the complete 1 hour video of tonight's show will remain available on the Superman homepage website and our Facebook page if you'd like to watch it back, and our YouTube account as well. You can get them on all three. Now, we'll be back next week on Tuesday, October 30th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time for another edition of WGBS TV Live. Look forward to talking with you then. Until then, be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. I'm Steve Eunice on behalf of myself and Michael Bailey. Thanks for watching WGBS TV Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com.